Greetings, YouTube. There was once a study done with chickens. They broke the chickens into three groups. The first group of chickens were given a cage that if they pecked a lever, they would get a treat. One peck, one treat. The second group of chickens were given a cage where if they pecked the lever twice, they would get a treat. Two pecks, one treat. The third group of chickens were put into a cage that would deliver treats at random. It didn't matter how many times they pecked that little lever, the machine would just spew them out when this machine felt like it at a random interval. They conditioned the chickens to these three cages, then after a time they turned off the machines. The chickens in the first cage, the ones that received a 1-to-1 peck to treat ratio, stopped pecking almost immediately when they realized that the pecking did no good. The second cage, that had been trained to be a 2-peck to 1 treat ratio, they pecked for a little bit longer, but eventually they gave up as well. In the third cage, the chickens that had been given a random treat, with no correlation at all to how many times they pecked the lever, never stopped pecking the lever. They had been conditioned that the unstable environment, the unpredictable, the inconsistent, made them essentially insane. They could not predict something, so they kept doing the same obsessive behavior forever. I'm assuming that eventually the chickens stopped, because otherwise that would be cruel. And the point of this? Consistency is important, extremely important, particularly when you're training an animal or raising a human. I was raised by an alcoholic, and I desperately tried to find a pattern to his behavior so that I could avoid being told I was stupid, useless, or physically struck. Except of course the problem is that there was no pattern to his behavior. He was drunk. But humans are pattern-seeking animals. We look desperately for a pattern, no matter how much there isn't one defined. So I kept looking, because I knew in my heart of hearts that if I could figure out the pattern, if I could break down my father's behavior, I would be able to avoid being told I was stupid and useless or physically attacked. But there was no pattern. But the result is I became a perfectionist. I pursued patterns relentlessly. And I continued to do this well into my 30s, when I began to realize why I did it. And I began to separate myself from it, try to distance myself from it. But even today at 44, though I do not pursue perfection any longer, I do pursue efficiency to a level that most people probably would find strange. If I'm leaving a room, I make sure I've done everything in that room I need to do before I leave. If I'm walking through a room, I make sure that if I need anything while I'm passing through the room, I do it while I'm there. And I catch myself. If I fail to do this, I often berate myself for it. Of course now, I attempt to show compassion to myself, tell myself it's no big deal. The most I have to do is walk a few more steps. Let's face it, I can use the exercise. And that's an important lesson I had to learn. Compassion for myself and others. I say it all the time. Because if you don't have compassion for yourself first, you can't really have compassion for anyone else either. And that was another hard lesson.